ranking the Arsenal squad 2019-2020. Now when it comes to the mighty Arsenal in the season 19-20, let's just say it's been a massive disappointment. After all, it started off with such hope after a fantastic transfer window where we signed the likes of Dani Ceballos, David Luiz, Kieran Tierney and also Nicolas Pepe for £72 million. So of course, after such a promising transfer window, all Arsenal fans across the world were very excited. But when it came to the season itself, wow, what a disappointment it's been. Of course, we started the season off with a man like Unai Emery at the wheel, and despite having some promising moments in his first season at the club, where we beat the likes of Tottenham 4-2 at the Emirates, Emery just wasn't the right man. From his good evenings, to his awful tactics, to go 1-0 and parking the bus, and then ultimately losing his job in November when we lost to Frankfurt in the Europa League. And after that, it was a bit of a weird period. We brought in man like Freddie Ljungberg, and yes, he brought a bit of faith back into the club, but overall it was again a massive disappointment. And everything this season looked down and disappointing until a certain little Spaniard returned to the Arsenal from Manchester City. That of course is current Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta, who left Man City to come to the Arsenal, and since coming he has restored a lot of faith for the fans. But despite the promising start under Mikel Arteta, let's not beat around the bush, it's been a very disappointing season. I mean, let's not forget lads, we're currently sitting 9th in the Premier League, out of the Europa League, and overall kind of still looking like a shambles. So yeah, overall the summer season, it's been very disappointing. So with that being said guys, let's get into this video and let's rank every single Arsenal player in the 19-20 season. How have they done? Let me give you my thoughts on them, and overall lads, let's be talking. Transfers, hang on. We're not talking about transfers today, lads. The creativity is back in full effect, lads. Yo, what's up guys, my name is Pepe Ozil and welcome back to my channel. Today I am back with a brand new video, and today I will be ranking every single Arsenal squad player in the 19-20 season. From the likes of Leno to Aubameyang to Pepe to Duty to even man like Squadron Mustafi. We are going to talk about everyone today. Ain't nobody hiding from Basketball team today, man. And in terms of the categories we're gonna have world class, good, okay, disappointing, and then get out of my club. So this should be very interesting, lads. But yeah guys, with that being said, before we get into the video itself, make sure to go down there as always and smash a like on the video as always. If you like to smash 100 likes, your boy would appreciate it. Also do subscribe to the channel if you are new as well. We are on the road to 10,000 subscribers and we are getting there very slowly and very surely. I'm currently filming this video at like 5:30 AM in the morning. I've already filmed the career mode episode today as well. So yeah, if you guys can subscribe to the channel, your boy would appreciate it. And as always lads, let me know your thoughts in the comments on the video itself and how you think I rank the Arsenal players and how you would rank the Arsenal players. And with that being said guys, without any further ado, let's get into this and let's rank every single Arsenal player in the 2019-2020 season. And yeah, let's be getting into this lads. Right, so starting off, we're going to start for the goalkeepers, and we're going to start for man like Bernd Leno. We're going to put him straight into the world class category. Now in terms of Bernd Leno this season, what can I say? There's been some games where man's been the only player playing for Arsenal. I mean, if you go back to the Watford game, imagine facing 32 shots and you're playing for the mighty Arsenal. And apart from that Watford game, there's been plenty of games this season where Leno has been basically Arsenal's best player and Arsenal's only good player on the pitch. He's saved us countless amount of times with countless amount of good saves and great saves, and he's definitely won us a lot of points. But with that also being said, there's also been some moments where the man's looked a bit shaky and a bit suspect when it comes to crossing, and I'm definitely talking about a Chelsea moment where Leno completely fluffed his line and gave Jorginho the goal of his life. And I can't lie, I still haven't got over that game. But overall, when it came to the moments that count, etc, Leno has been there for us. He stood up to it, and for me lads, he has been a world class player for Arsenal this season. Moving on to the next player lads, it's going to be Emiliano Martinez, and we're going to put him in the okay section. I mean, when it comes to Emiliano Martinez, I don't think there's much for me to talk about. I mean, the man's not been playing any Premier League football whatsoever, and of course he has featured in, the cup competitions like the FA Cup and Europa League, etc. But apart from that really standout game against Frankfurt away, there's not been many moments for Martinez, and there's not been much to talk about. So in terms of this point in general, I don't think I'm going to talk about Martinez too much. I'm going to put him straight into the okay section, and we're going to move on, lads. Moving on to the next player, lads, and this is where it gets a bit more interesting. It's going to be Hector Bellerin in the disappointing section. Hector, lad, you've disappointed me this season. Now, of course, let's take into account the fact that the man came back from a very long-term injury, and it's going to take him time to rebuild his full fitness. I think by me putting Bellerin disappointing doesn't mean by any means that I think he's finished at Arsenal. I just think in terms of the hope that we had for him coming back, he just has not lived up to expectations. But obviously by saying that, you have to also understand the fact that the man's come back from a very long-term injury, and even after coming back from an injury, he's also picked up other injuries. So obviously with Bellerin, I still have my hopes then. I still think there's a decent player in there. But in terms of the hope that us Arsenal fans had when he was come back with injury, we all thought we're going to have man like Cafu back in full effect. And even things like him cutting his hair in the summer, we all thought we had prime Hector Bellerin back. But obviously having come back from his injury, he has for me disappointed. And as I said, lads, it's not all his fault. Obviously you can't come back from injury and be expected to be top form straight away. But let's be honest, lads, Bellerin has been disappointing this season. So Hector Bellerin, sorry lads, you're going to be in the disappointing section. Moving on to the next player, lads, Maitland-Niles was disappointing. Now when it comes to Maitland-Niles, there's two reasons why he's disappointing. In terms of the first reason why, I think it's, you know what, I actually see a player in Maitland-Niles. I'm one of the few fans that think there's a decent player in there and I have some hope for him. And I can definitely see the man's got talent there, etc. And he can play as a midfielder and he can play as a right back. And I think overall there's a decent player there. And if he used to try hard and probably put his effort into it, I think he can be a very decent player. Now by no means do I think he's a first team future player for Arsenal, but I do think he has some sort of ability there. And that's why for me, one of the main reasons why I've been disappointed by Maitland-Niles is because of the fact that he's just not trying most of the time. There's been too many times where he just lapses in concentration, he slows the game down, he just doesn't care sometimes, and he looks very lazy sometimes. And the second factor for him being disappointing for me is because he's just not worked under Arteta. Initially in his first few games under Arteta, the man looked like he was in his perfect position. He was of course starting off as a right back, but he was coming into midfield and playing as an inverted fullback. And it looked like to me like he'd finally found his position. But obviously fast forward now, apparently Arteta's completely lost hope in him, and he might not even play for Arsenal ever again. So overall I think for me this season, Maitland-Niles has been very disappointing, and I think there was a player in there, but he's just not coming out of him. So I think lads, it might be time for Izzy to go. On to the next player, lads, Kolasinac, he's going to also be disappointing. Another disappointing player, imagine my shock. Now when it comes to Kolasinac, I think the reason why he's so disappointing, because again, there's another player there who has the talent there, he has the ability there. The man is an absolute tank as well. The man protected Mesut Ozil with his life, but with all the constant injuries the man keeps again, I mean for a man that's so big, the man gets injured so much, you think he's made out of glass, bruv. When it comes to a footballer, he's one of the biggest clickbacks I've ever seen, bruv. And you look at Kolasinac, you're like, this guy's untouchable, he's a tank, he's a machine. But after one little nudge and the man's injured, he's out for 3 months again. With Kolasinac, lads, I'm just going to be honest with you, lads, I am losing hope with him, and I think he's just way too injury prone. And I think that's the reason why I'm going to put him in the disappointing section. Sayed, I know there's a player in view, and if not, you're just going to have to be Mesut Ozil's full-time security guard. Moving on, lads, Cedric Soares, again, disappointing. Disappointing FC in full effect. For any of you Arsenal fans like me who have forgotten that Cedric Soares even signed for Arsenal, yes, we actually indeed signed Cedric Soares back in January. We signed him on deadline day as a player who come in and he play a right back for Arsenal, but guess what, lads, he hasn't played a single minute. The most action that we have seen for Cedric Soares is probably his Twitter page and his social media pages. Apart from that, we've seen nothing. And there's a potential opportunity now that Arsenal may not sign him at the end of the season, and we'll just play the player there, paying his wages, to do absolutely nothing. In Cedric Soares, we are paying a player tens of thousands of pounds to what? Do a couple social media posts. Even I could do that, bruv. Yeah, Cedric Soares, definitely disappointed. Moving on, lads, Kieran Tierney, he's going to be in the okay section. Man like Kieran Tierney. Again, I think with Kieran Tierney, he's a man who's okay, but I think he's on the brink of being disappointing. Again, lads, it's another player who came back from a long-term injury, signed with an injury, and having come back from the injury, yes, he played a few games, but then, lads, he got injured again. But I think from what we saw when he came back from his initial injury, I think what we saw there is there's definitely a player in there, and we definitely saw the potential. And that's why he just about makes it into the okay section. But apart from that, lads, I have been, kind of disappointed by Tierney. He's another Arsenal player. He's another Arsenal player who we all hyped up, in particular me, and we all thought we all signed the Scottish Roberto Carlos. But instead, lads, his Arsenal career has been hampered by injuries. So, lads, Kieran Tierney is going to be in the okay section, but he just about makes that. Moving on to the centre backs, lads, is going to be David Luiz, and he's going to be in the good section. Wow, we've got a good player, lads. Now, when it comes to David Luiz, it's very interesting because if you'd asked me this question at the start of the season, it would have been, get out of my club. But having seen him play under Mikel Arteta, the man's developed into what you could call a leader now. He is someone you can rely upon now. He's probably been our best centre-back and a defender under Mikel Arteta. He looks like a player who's far more reliable, he looks like a player who can lead the team, he's very vocal, and overall looks like a pretty good player. He, for me, is our best ball-playing centre-back. His distribution is outstanding. So I am very pleasantly surprised to say David Luiz makes the good section. David Luiz may keep up the work. I appreciate it. Moving on, lads, Rob Holding, again, disappointed. Again, Rob Holding is one of those Arsenal players that I myself hyped up massively. The man's the best English centre-back the world's ever seen. Maldini and Cannavaro mix into one. You get Rob Holding. Well, apparently not. Ever since coming back from his injury, I mean, he's not been injured again, but it's just the fact that he's just not been able to start for Arsenal. And under Mikel Arteta, we've barely seen him play. And that for me is a bit weird because of course with Holding we've got a player who's an English centre-back there, yes, but also he's one of our best ball-playing centre-backs. And you think under Mikel Arteta the man might get a bit more playing minutes, but apparently not. He'd rather play stiff-ass Socrates than Holding. And so for me, lads, Holding has been disappointed. Holdini, we need to see a bit more of you, mate. Moving on, lads, Callum Chambers, okay. Now again, Chambers is a player who, for me, he's actually been pretty decent for Arsenal this season. Of course, he's a player who Arsenal tried to sell in the summer, didn't quite work out, he ended up staying. And when he came into the Arsenal first team, he looked pretty decent. He filled in pretty decent at right back, he filled in pretty decent at centre back. And he was even a very key starter for Mikel Arteta until he got injured against Chelsea. And of course, since then, we've not seen him play. But I'd say from what we saw him play this season, I think he's been an okay player for Arsenal this season. So yeah, Callum Chambers, okay, mate. Moving on to the next centre-back, lads, we've got quite a few centre-backs. Mustafi, okay. Again, lads, another surprising player. Now, Mustafi is a player for Arsenal, I'm not gonna lie, he's a player who I've said to get out of the club for a while. Every time I think of Mustafi, I just get very angry. Every time I just look at Mustafi, I just see the mistake and, you know, him getting ripped apart by Wilfried Zaha, and I just get angry. But in terms of Mustafi, yes, he's made a few mistakes, which is expected, but apart from that, especially under Mikel Arteta, the man's looked like, for me, a decent player. Now, I'm not saying, again, he's got a long-term future at Arsenal, but I think in terms of when he's been called upon, he's been pretty decent. So I can't help it but put Mustafi in the okay section, which if he'd said to me at the start of the season, I would have said miracles don't happen, mate. Moving on to the next centre-back, lads, yes, we've got quite a few. Socrates, get out of my club. Now again with Socrates, let me get one thing straight. Yes, he's a somewhat decent player and he can somewhat be relied upon and he's capable of scoring absolute bangers and he's also a better outlet than Alexander-Arnold. But overall, lads, let's not beat around the bush. The man as a top level footballer, for me, is finished. Again, for me, he's a decent player who's got some decent ability in that, but for me, lads, he's just too old, too stiff and, you know, just Socrates. I just don't like him anymore. So overall for me, lads, Papa, in the most politeful way, get out my club. Moving on to the final centre-back, hallelujah, Pablo Mari in the good section. Now, of course, a man like Pablo Mari, we've got a very small sample section. We've only seen him play 3 or 4 games for Arsenal. But in those 3 or 4 games, the man has looked like Van Dijk times 2. He just looked like Maldini's dad, and also the best centre-back the world's ever seen. But yeah, jokes aside, lads, I think Pablo Mari for Arsenal will be somewhat good for Arsenal. Every game he's played for Arsenal, he's not let us down. His ball distribution for me is fantastic. Having come in January on loan with the obligation to buy in the summer for £7 million, I don't think you can go wrong with that. And I think I've been very impressed by Mari, and I think he's a very decent player in there. Has he been outstanding? Not really, but again, as I said, lads, you don't have to be over the moon to be in the good section for Arsenal. Moving on to the midfield, lads, Matteo Guendouzi in the okay section. Ale Matteo, what's going on, mate? Now again, Matteo Guendouzi this season has been one of those players who's just been hit and miss for Arsenal. At the start of the season, the man started the season on fire. That game against Tottenham when the man won man of the match. That game against Aston Villa when the man grabbed the team by the scruff of the neck and got us back into it. There's been some very good moments with Guendouzi this season. But overall, after that start of the season stint, I think he's just dropped off. Now with that being said, I don't think it's all his fault. When you've had 3 managers like Emery and Ljungberg Arteta, it's very hard to nail down a place. And ever since Arteta has come into Arsenal, Guendouzi's numbers have just, you know, dropped off completely. So I think if you take into context the entire season and, you know, all the samples were there, I think it's only fair to put Guendouzi in the okay section. Don't get me wrong, sometimes he's been good, sometimes very good, sometimes well class, but sometimes also very, very poor. Matteo Guendouzi, you've been okay, mate. Moving on to the next midfielder, lads, Lucas Torreira, disappointing. Luca, mate, you were meant to be the next Kante. Where did it go wrong? Well, funny I mentioned that because we all know where it went wrong. Unai Emery. The fact alone that Unai Emery was putting a very decent defensive midfielder at a number 10, for me, is a jailable offence. He's very good at winning the ball back, very good at intercepting, and has a very good understanding of the game defensively. And so in the first half of the season under Unai Emery, where we saw him playing the number 10 position, I was raging, bro. Arsenal clearly lack a defensive midfielder, yet we're playing out defensive midfielder as a number 10. And I think that's one of the reasons why I think I have to put Torreira disappointing. Again, I am a massive admirer of Lucas Torreira. I think he's a fantastic player in there. But I think overall, if you take the whole season into context, you know, his time under Emery and his time under Arteta, I just think he has been disappointing. And for that, Unai Emery, you have got the blood in your hands. Moving on to the next player, Dani Ceballos, again, disappointing. Dani Ceballos, you are disappointing because you had so much potential, but you've still been average. Now, in terms of Dani Ceballos, in that first game of the season gave us so much hope. Next, Santi Cazorla, the best Spanish midfielder the world's ever seen. Give him the Ballon d'Or. But ever since that game of the season, it's just been a woohoo. Obviously, Ceballos had his injuries and so and so. But saying that, of course, in our most previous games, he has been playing for Arsenal, and he's been pretty decent for Arsenal, can't lie. But overall for me, lads, if I look into that first game of the season and how good he was, and the standard that he set for himself, for me, lads, Dani Ceballos has been disappointing. Moving on to the next player, lads, Granit Xhaka, and he goes into the good section. Wow, again, another player who's had a massive U-turn, lads. When it comes to Granit Xhaka this season, we all go to that one moment, that game against Crystal Palace, when a man threw the captain's armband after being subbed off, threw his shirt, and said F you to the Arsenal fans. That's the moment that stands up for jacket season, which of course isn't the best as an Arsenal fan, but I can't lie, I have to give credit where it's due. Ever since that moment, the man's been only good for Arsenal. Of course, he took a massive break from the Arsenal first team, and for one moment it looked like he was leaving Arsenal. But under Mikel Arteta, the man looks rejuvenated, and he looks like a player that we signed for £35 million. And so for me, I have to give credit where credit is due. Granit Xhaka, for me, I'm going to put you in the good section. Credit, mate. Sorry, I was wrong. Moving on to the next midfielder, lads, Joe Willock, and he's going to be in the OK section. Joe Willock, for me, is such a frustrating player. When it comes to Joe Willock, I definitely see a player in there. There's definitely potential. And it's definitely been moments this season where we've seen that potential. We all remember that goal at Anfield where the man smashed it top bins. But for me, there's been too many moments this season where the man's just been disappointed to put him in the good section. I think overall, Willock is just a player who's definitely got potential there. But for this season, I'm going to put him in the OK section. Joe Willock, mate, you've been okay. Moving on to the final midfielder. Interestingly enough, Mesut Ozil. Get out of my club. Oh my god, I can't believe I said that. Did I just say that? I actually said that. Oh my god, Mesut Ozil, get out of my club. I just said it again. What's going on? Yes, lads, jokes aside, I'm going to get straight with you right now. I think Mesut Ozil's time at Arsenal is over. Obviously in terms of the season itself, the man's just not lived up to expectations. Obviously with Mesut Ozil, at the end of the day, we all know Mesut Ozil's been there. He's been a world-class player across his whole career. He's one of the best German players they've produced. But when it comes to this season, the man's just been very disappointing. He looks like a player on the decline anyways. Again, don't get me wrong, there's been certain moments where he's shown his class. But overall for me, lads, when you factor in his wages as well, I think his time at Arsenal is just finito. I love you, Mesut Ozil. I always will love you, Mesut Ozil. But as Claude would say, it's time to go. Moving on to the wingers, lads. Reece Nelson, okay. Now when it comes to Reece Nelson this season, I think he's a player again who you can see the glimpses. There's been moments in the season where you go, okay, there's a player in there. But again, there's been too many moments where he's been inconsistent and, unreliable enough. So overall, if you factor in his good moments and his bad moments, I think he just ends up in the OK section. He's a decent player, there's decent potential there, but for me, lads, he's been okay this season. Moving on to the next player, Eddie Nketiah, again, okay. Obviously, man like Eddie Nketiah returned from his loan spell from Leeds United, where things just never worked out with playing wise, and since coming back to Arsenal, I can't lie, he has been decent. He scored a few goals as well, and you can definitely see the potential player there, but I just don't think he has the ability to be Arsenal first team. He could be a decent squad player, but yeah, for me, Eddie Nketiah, you've been okay this season. Moving on to the next player, lads, Gabriel Martinelli. He's been good, I mean generational. Pele's godson. How can I put him in good? And of course, after that Chelsea game when he scored that wonderful goal, we all thought, wow, what a player we've got here. I just think ever since that moment, things have just slowed down a bit for Martinelli. Yes, he's still a generational talent, and I still think he's one of the best youngsters in the Premier League. But at the same time, I think with Martinelli, you can just see a player who's just adapting a bit more. Teams are finding him out a bit more. But overall, lads, don't get it twisted. The man is still a generational talent. But for this season, lads, I think Martinelli's been a good player for Arsenal. Moving on to the next player, lads, Alexander Lacazette, get out of my club. Wow, Babs, you actually went there. Yes, lads, that is right. For me, lads, we're going to have to put Lacazette in the get out of my club section. Now, of course, you can call me reactionary, and I can't lie, I am being reactionary right now. But I just think with Lacazette right now as a player, I think he's getting to that age right now where we can still get very decent money for him. I just don't think he's a long-term answer for Arsenal. I mean, yeah, he's a decent player and he can, hold the ball up well there. But as a goal scorer and scoring his goals, well, I just don't see him as a goal scorer. So if we were to lose someone like Aubameyang, I just don't think Lacazette has the ability to step up and fill the goal scoring ratio. And that's all for me, lads. I say get out my club, but in a more respectful way. Almost as if we should sell him this season because we can get money for him. He's a decent player on his day and, he's got ability in that. I love you, Lacazette, but I have to love you and leave you, mate. Lacazette, respectfully, get out of the club. Moving on to the second last player, lads, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Oh, world class indeed. Obama who? Obama what? Obama world class player, bruv. In terms of Aubameyang this season, what can I say? Goals for days. Goal there, a goal over there, a goal over there. He has been our shining bright light. For every down moment this season, Aubameyang's there to keep us up and get us our goals. He's won the second most points as a player in the Premier League season, just behind Sadio Mane, and he's just, for me, been our best player by a country mile. Goals for days, an absolute gunman, and overall for me, our best player by a country mile this season at least. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, easily the world-class section, and hopefully he stays at the Arsenal. Aubameyang, please just sign the contract, bruv. Sign the thing, bruv. And lads, to round it up, moving on to the final player of the season, lads, Nicolas Pepe. He's going to make it in the good section. Now, this, of course, is a very debatable situation. I'm going to go out there and say right now, I think Nicolas Pepe is one of the most underrated players in the Premier League right now. Of course, having signed for us for a club record fee of £72 million, the pressure was definitely on from day one. And that not only was from Arsenal fans, but also, of course, let's not forget their rival fans. They all want to talk about Pepe. I think Nicolas Pepe is a player for me who's been underrated by fans. In his first season in English football, the man's got 14 goals and assists in all competitions. And if you compare those numbers to some of the best wingers in the Premier League right now, I'm talking about your Sadio Mane's and Leroy Sané's, they're pretty respectable numbers. So again, with Nicolas Pepe, as I've said, lads, yes, he's not living up to his hype, and he should be in the world-class section with the money we paid for him. But overall, overall, with the moments that he's delivered us in the season, you know, that goal against Man United, which is, you know, I still live off right now. 14 goals and assists, and no one wants to mention it. Apparently he's a flop, lads. And so, lads, that concludes it. This is my Arsenal ranked players for 19-20 season. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As you can see, lads, overall, it's been pretty disappointing. But with that being said, guys, we're going to end the video there. This has been a very, very long video. It's now 6:30 in the morning. But yeah, lads, of course, if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to go down and put a like on the video as always. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and also let me know your thoughts in the comments. And with that being said, guys, let's end the video there. Let me get into my bed and let me go to sleep. But yeah, in terms of the Arsenal season in 19-20, I ranked all the players. And yeah, as I said, lads, it's been a very disappointing season. But anyways, guys, I'll see you next time in a bit.